Now, the White House Principal Deputy Press Secretary Anna Kelly. Anna, welcome to you, and welcome back, I should say. Based on everything we're hearing from President Trump today, and his disappointment in what Iran is bringing to the table to come to a deal here, I'm looking at oil prices right now. They're back near $100 a barrel, up about $2.50 on the day. President Trump said again from the Oval Office today, he insists that this will drop like a rock once this all comes to an end. What is President Trump and what is the White House saying today about these high energy prices?
Well, look, the president has been incredibly clear-eyed with the American people since prior to the start of Operation Epic Fury about what could happen if Iran tried to subvert the free flow of energy in the Strait of Hormuz. And he's right. Once this long-term and short-term volatility presented by Iran is removed, then those oil prices, those gas prices are going to drop dramatically. But look, I know there's a lot of confusion, it seems, on the Iranian side and in the legacy media about the state of play right now with Iran. Let me be very clear. Iran has been incredibly decimated. Military, their navy is at the bottom of the ocean. Their ballistic missiles are destroyed. Their production facilities are demolished. Now they are being totally crippled economically by the weight of Operation Economic Fury. So the president is not in a rush. He has all the cards at his disposal because he knows that Iran is getting weaker and weaker by the day while the United States is getting stronger and stronger.
Oh, hey, Anna, it's John here. I was just talking to General Prunaro about that very fact that the president said that he thinks that they're eventually going to fold. He doesn't know how long it's going to take. But he does seem to be quite comfortable at the moment to allow the Iranian regime to just kind of twist in the wind as its economy crumbles because of the American blockade. But he did say that he may reopen up this idea of Project Freedom and do it on an enhanced basis that might involve some more military action.
Well, the president, of course, is never one to rule out options for himself. He always possesses all options on the table. And look, that's why it's incredibly important, I think, for the Iranian regime, again, to recognize the dismal reality of their situation. Karg Island is overflowing. They are losing $500 million every single day because they can't transport oil anymore. As your last guest said, that is the bulk of their economy. So it is in Iran's best interest to get incredibly serious because the United States is interested only in a deal that is going to protect the long-term security of our country, that is going to eliminate this nuclear threat for good, and to put America first, as this president always does.
Anna, just a short time ago, the White House gave us a heads up on some of those big CEOs that will be traveling with President Trump to China for his meeting with President Xi this week, among them Apple's Tim Cook and others. Can you give us a preview of this China trip?
Sure. Well, the president, of course, has a great relationship with President Xi, and I think we can expect more of what this president has done over the past year when past presidents, unfortunately, sold out American industry, shipped jobs overseas. This president, thankfully, put an end to that practice and rebalanced trade, rebalanced the economic order to put America first, just as he promised. So this, of course, will be a visit of tremendous symbolic significance. But as you said, there are a number of CEOs coming on this trip because this president never travels for symbolism alone. The American people can expect more good deals for our country, continued work on the U.S.-China Board of Trade, deals spanning the aerospace, energy, agriculture industries that ultimately will end that practice of shipping jobs overseas and selling out American workers in favor of policies and agreements that put America first and revitalize our economy here at home.
So, Anna, when I was talking to the president this morning, it was just before the Oval Office event, he kind of surprised me a little bit because he said, John, I just want to tell you, I'm very serious about this. So you can talk about this. I'm serious about beginning a process to make Venezuela the 51st state. Now, there's a rich history in this nation of taking territories and absorbing them into the United States. You know, Puerto Rico is one that people talk about. But this would be the first time, to my knowledge, that a sovereign country was ever invited to join the United States of America. How would that work?
Well, John, I won't get ahead of what the president was comfortable sharing with you as far as those plans go. But look, this is a president who is famous for never accepting the status quo. He is always considering a host of options to improve our country. And of course, Venezuela, now led by President Delcy Rodriguez, is working incredibly cooperatively with the United States. So I won't get ahead of any plans that the president may have to that effect. But look, this has been a tremendous success. The United States revitalizing our relationship with Venezuela and in turn improving the economic situation of both countries and our people.
Anna, before you go, we have seen the Wall Street Journal today reporting that President Trump is going to take action through an executive order to start to lower those beef prices. He's going to address the tariffs to increase imports. What can you tell us right now?
Well, I won't get ahead of the president on any actions he may take. But look, this president has been very clear about both standing up for our farmers in this country, taking a number of actions to end red tape, to improve export markets for our farmers, while simultaneously lowering prices for consumers. So I won't get ahead of any actions that the president may take to that effect. But this president will always stand for both our great farmers in our country who turned out for him in droves this past election, while simultaneously delivering on his promise to end this era of economic inflation under Joe Biden and reduce prices for all consumers across this country.
Oh, hey, Anna, just before we go, we saw a photo that Caroline Levitt put out last week of her and her new baby. How's she doing?
She's doing great, and we are all so excited for her and baby Viviana. So I know her family, her new beautiful family of 4 is doing quite well. But of course, we all miss her very dearly at the White House. And I know we are looking forward to her coming back just as much as you all are.
All right, but she's going to take her sweet time and enjoy those newborn snuggles.
She should.
She should. All right, Anna, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate the update.
Thanks, Anna. Yeah, if history is any guide, she'll be back soon. I think she took 2 days off last time.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.